This is better
Teal looks
attendance
good
than
on
a
you,
town
right?
hall right now. You know that?
Teal.
This is better attendance than a town hall meeting.
Thank you.
We'll wait till you hand them out to gavel in.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you, ma'am.
Sorry.
No worries.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. You're good? Yes, ma'am.
Everybody, are we gonna do it? Is there
All
gonna
right.
be
You,
or are we the only ones that get these?
We're giving them, I don't know if she brought,
Anything to put
yeah,
up?
she's handed them out, so.
oh, yeah, no, but I thought Beverly brought a
Slide?
thumb drive, so he could do, but maybe not.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming out for our short notice workshop this week. Special thanks to Commissioner Judy Tender for requesting this.
Where's the flood impact?
We will try to make this a beneficial hour and a half, 2 hours
Yeah,
of
2
your
hours.
Saturday afternoon.
Okay, that's some
This
parameters.
is
No, I
going
got
to be
it.
an informal workshop, so it's not going to be the formal.
Did you get one of
scripted.
these, Johnny? Sorry. Okay.
We're here to hear from y'all, what your thoughts and your concerns are. So it will be
didn't know we
very
had a hotline.
free-flowing, no threat environment. As long as we can take turns and be organized and respectful to each other, we're going to have a good afternoon and hopefully a good dialogue and exchange of information. So anybody has any concerns, please raise your hand or please give us a holler. But otherwise, we'll start off. I'll give the commissioners.
Yep, Mayor, I've actually got a quick presentation to kind of give some background. Probably will answer a lot of questions. Like, we can run through that presentation real quick and then open it up to the public.
Sure. So before we kick off with the city manager's presentation, and thank you for that, sir, Commissioner Tender, you asked for this, so would you like to say a few opening remarks, ma'am?
Yes, I would. I think this is very important, and I think it will be very beneficial to all of us, to the city as well as the residents. I have heard more than my share of complaints about things that have taken place during this renovation, if you will. And as small as some of them might seem to some, they're huge to the person who lives there. And I want, when we leave here, I'm hoping to have a list of things that we can improve on from the city going forward. And that's my goal, is to just have a list of things that we can improve on and that we can provide to the residents. Obviously, we're all elected officials up here, except one down there, Chris. We hired him. And our goal is to please and to work for the residents. That's our job, is to represent you. So this is just a way we're going to start out and hope that we can make that happen. And I am so thrilled to see all these people here. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, ma'am. Well, with that, city manager, the floor is yours, sir.
Yes, sir. So this project is called the West 10th Street Utilities Improvement Project. It is a CDBG-funded project, which is through the Department of Commerce. The original agreement was executed in January of 2022. Just a brief rundown of the project. It includes the trenchless rehabilitation of about 9,300 feet of clay gravity sewer pipes and brick manholes that were installed in the 1960s. And trenchless rehab is where they go in and they put a liner inside of it instead of having to demo and rebuild new gravity sewer lines. It's much more cost efficient and much quicker than that method. This project also includes 14,000 feet of new 6-inch water main to improve your fire flow protection and water supply, replacing 500 feet of 6-inch asbestos concrete mains, 13,500 feet of 2-inch water mains, and 2.4 miles of roadway, and installing stormwater collection system on West 10th Street, which they never had it before. So project design, the RFQ 22/23-06 was advertised in January 2023. We executed a contract with Dewberry Engineers March 14th of 2023, and the design and permitting phase lasted from March 2023 until February 2025. See my typo there in February, but we got a release of funds in February of 2025 authorizing the project to move out to bid. So we received bids May 29th, 2025. We had bids from ECSC, 850 Construction Services, Mainline Construction, CBC Construction, Royal American Construction, Phoenix Construction Services, CWR Contracting, Marshall Brothers Construction, and L&K Contracting, with ECSC being the low bid at $4,416,594.43. The agreement with ECSC was executed August 12, 2025, in the amount of $4,416,594.43. The original substantial completion date was July 30th, 2026, with final completion being August 29th, 2026. Change Order 1 was executed March 30th of this year in the amount of $826,172.93, and that moved the substantial completion to September 3rd, 2026, with final being October 3rd, 2026. And if you all recall, at the commission meeting when that change order was executed, it was due to the base, the existing base in the roadways was not adequate to meet the LBRs, so they had to demo or remove the current base and then import new base and compact it so that it could meet specifications. So some of the project issues, like I mentioned, we couldn't achieve adequate LBR for compaction. The base was removed and the new brought in. The new inlets installed on 10th Street were installed at an elevation that did not meet the real-world conditions. It was a design flaw that required a modification. Our design engineer, Dewberry, paid the cost of those modifications. Tie-ins for utilities around the school had to be delayed just to contend with water outages for the school days. Some of those tie-ins couldn't be made unless the school was out for a holiday or after summer break started. And then we had multiple utility hits due to existing utilities just not being reflected accurately on the old as-built. Carolina Avenue was a prime example of that. It was an existing 2-inch main. It may show on the GIS that it was on the east side of the road, and as they worked their way down the road, it actually had gotten out into the asphalt that no one knew. It was just not accurately from probably the 60s whenever they installed that. What's left of the project? We are nearing the completion, but we have paving on 8th Street, Georgia Avenue, and New York Avenue left, the final sodding and dress-up, manhole lining, and then a few limited water tie-ins. And Mr. Pullman with ECSC is here. He can also answer any questions once we get done about the scope that's left. And this is just some pictures of the roads that are left to be paved. And then the sodding there at 10th and Alabama, in that intersection there is what's left as well. So what could we have done a little better? So city newsletter for the project and utilizing the website for updates. Staff did utilize our Tiger Notify as much as possible, but unfortunately that was more of a reactive versus a proactive approach. We brought this as an example. DOT does send out like a US 231 and 23rd Street resurfacing project. It's a little postcard of what's to come. So in the future, if we have a project this large that's going to affect a number of residents like we do, or like we have on this project, maybe a postcard or something like that, a mailer, is a better approach to reach everyone. And then we had a staff transition period, as you all know, left a lot of staff members who were not involved in the project from the beginning to answer questions. Going back to, Mayor, the project, like I said, is called the 10th Street Utilities Improvement Project. However, this work goes from 9th Street to 17th Street and from Ohio to Tennessee Avenue. But the majority of the work, the major stuff, was right there at 10th Street, which is how this project got its title back in 2019 when it was originally discussed. And then with that, we'll open it up to questions from the public or the commission.
Okay. Before we open up to the floor, commissioners, do y'all have any questions or comments that y'all would like to share with the crowd? Sam, Pat?
I think it's pretty clear that we need to have better oversight of our contractors. We need to have some type of policy or something in place that requires staff to go in more check on the contractors more often and make sure that if they're doing something like putting something in someone's yard, we need to have it in our contract that they're required to remove it, because, I mean, that should never, ever be okay. If I have a piece of, now, we do have the city right-of-ways, and so there are situations where it might look like it's on someone's yard when it's not, but some of these pictures is clearly in someone's yard, and that should never, ever be okay. So we need to have something in place, whether that's an updated policy for contractors when we use them to check at a more often, but also we need to make sure within when we write a contract, that it says something in there specifically that they are liable for any damage that they have caused to the citizen, because it shouldn't be, we're hiring contractors, so if they mess something up, they should be liable for fixing it, because they're the ones that did the work, you know what I mean? So, I mean, I'm sure we have some things in place, and I'm sure Chris can talk to that, but that's my first thought after looking at this stuff.
Yes, sir. And so we do have a CEI team. Dewberry has been tasked with the CEI for this project, so we have a resident inspector. And then if any property damage happens during the project, of course, we will require ECSC or any contractor that's working on it to ensure that it's repaired before the project is complete. At the end of the project, we still have their retainage, so if they haven't repaired anything that's turned into us, we will hold that retainage until they do, and that hasn't been an issue.
Pat, you got anything, sir?
The only thing I've got is to thank everybody who's here, and this has been a project that happened. I think the whole reason we're here is that we could have had a better line of communication while it was happening and what was happening to you all, the residents, so you could have gotten to the city quicker and the city could have responded quicker, correct? I mean, Judy brought it to us and we got a couple of emails, but I think it was already happening to the people, which is I'm sorry, it's a blind eye from us or me, but Judy, I think that's the side you live on, Virginia over there, and they got to you, and we heard you, but we might have heard you too late, and I'm sorry it got to this point, but what we can learn from this, we'll learn, and what damages are done, I know we'll do our best to make you whole on it. You know, we have to make it right. So just appreciate bringing it to our attention, but it shouldn't have had to get to this point. There should be a clear line of communication for y'all during a project where you can get to the city or get to somebody who's in contact with the city so you can be heard. And that's I hope that's our goal and our outcome from this, as Commissioner Tender stated in the beginning. So that's all I want to say.
Thank you, sir. Miss Judy, do you want to say anything else here?
Yes. I don't want to repeat myself. So some of the things that I have been called about and told about were people that couldn't get out of their driveway to go to a doctor's appointment because there's heavy equipment parked behind them and they can't even get out of their house. That is something I personally feel needs to be eliminated. There are other people that are here, and I'm sure they will talk about it, but where workers would park in their yard and fill their entire yard with vehicles to the point where there was no grass left, in and out, speeding in and out, whatever they do to rip up your grass, their yard was left just a dirt pile. I got one call one day. The guy wanted to take his daughter to school, and he called me right after he went out, and he said, I can't even get out of my driveway. He said, there's so much stuff parked in front of my driveway, vehicles and whatnot. That's the type of thing that I think we need to eliminate. Now, how do we do that? I don't have all the answers, and I don't pretend to. But I think a couple of things that we must keep in mind is that we, as a community, I don't know the percentages on ages, but I would bet these two kids right over here see everything on Facebook and they know what's going on. Me, I hate Facebook, and I'm just being honest about it because I can't believe anything I read on it half the time. And somebody just told me that. Stop believing that, Judy. Yeah. Anyway, so, I mean, and many of our senior citizens don't have Facebook. And so that's a big deal. That's a big deal. So I think we have to have a hands-on approach to keep the residents informed that are going through this at the time that they're going through it. I did go over there all the time. I would drive by in the morning on my way to work, on my way home from work, and I would just, most of the time, just shake my head because I couldn't believe what I saw. And people from the company going up and turning somebody's outside faucet on to have it run. And I don't remember the reason for that, but I remember who it was. And things of that nature. And you go, what in the heck is going on? I think driveways that have had to be replaced that were done in cement originally should be done back in cement, not in asphalt. There's a 20-to-1 ratio, I believe. Cement is a lot stronger than asphalt. And so I don't think it's fair to replace their driveway in asphalt if it was done in cement. It'll be gone 20 times faster. I think that things should look like they looked when they got there. And we've had to put a lot of things in down there for whatever reason. I'm not a contractor, but we didn't replace them with what was there. So, I mean, just different things like this. And I can't wait to hear from the residents that were there. And just let me say this, there's no big complaint or small complaint. We need to take a look at everything so that we can fix it. So that we can make sure this doesn't happen. We have so much going on in Lynn Haven as far as renovations down Tennessee, up 10th Street. I had a resident the other day say, well, you know why they did 10th Street first? And I said, no, I don't know why. And I do agree with you. I think it's true. They did 10th Street first because of the fuel depot project that ends up there on the end of 10th. And I think that's a huge goal to make that happen. And so anyway, yeah, I won't keep talking because I could talk all day about it, but I'd rather hear from the residents. And please don't be shy. And if you are shy, just stand up in your seat and tell us what you got to say. And we're going to be making a list so we know where we can improve things.
If I may, didn't they start at 10th Street because it was the stormwater that had to be, what had to be replaced that wasn't there before? That's why it was called the 10th Street project?
So, yes, sir, this project has nothing to do with the fuel depot. It was originally started because the stormwater master plan called for stormwater improvements on West 10th Street, which is how the project originated. And then back in 2019, before I was here, they grew the project so it included water mains, sewer lining. The sewer lining actually will start from a 2016 project. Same with the water mains, and then the paving just encapsulated everything that they would demo. If they're back on that, if faucets are turned on outside, spigots to run, that's typically because they've done the water tie-ins and they need to flush the lines to ensure that no dirt gets inside the resident's home. If it's excessive flushing, typically the resident will call us or the contractor will call us or the CEI team, and we give 1,000-gallon credits on their utility bill. So we do that quite frequently for issues. If there are any driveways that were put back with materials that different, all they have to do is let us know, but it notes on the plans to match it with concrete or match it with asphalt. I have talked to one resident throughout the project who they paved, Google Earthed it back and sent them, and it was pavement before, so they weren't going to put concrete back when it was a pavement driveway before. Right. And then with the fuel depot, we already addressed. This project has nothing to do with the fuel depot.
Okay.
Well, last but certainly not least, before we turn it over to all of you residents, I want to give Commissioner Warwick a chance as our proverbial caboose here to say a few words as well. And then we'll open up the floor. And if any of you residents are mobility challenged, you don't want to get up and walk up here and stand, you don't have to. Just raise your hand. We will bring a microphone to you so that you can speak from wherever you're at in the audience, okay? So, Commissioner Warwick?
So the only thing I'll say is everything's pretty much been addressed what I wanted to talk about. But I can understand, you work your whole life. This is your one thing that you own, and you take pride in it, and you don't want it ruined. So I can totally understand that feeling of what are you doing to my property, yeah, I would feel the same way, But one thing I'll say, and I think this is probably one big thing the city could improve on, is whenever we have a big project like this, and this will probably be the biggest project that any of us will experience on the commission. That's how big of a project this is. But whenever we do, I think we should have a workshop like this from the very beginning with us up here, with the city manager, the contractor, the engineer, so that they can explain the whole project, explain the whole game plan. And if residents have questions, we can answer those questions. And I think that would alleviate a lot of the problems that we dealt with. Other than that, I'm just looking forward to listening to the residents. Oh, last thing I was going to say is I really wasn't contacted until towards the end of the project. I had about 3 people that contacted me, and I went out to each one of them and talked to them. And what I do is, as soon as I get a complaint or something, first thing I'm going to do is call the city manager and say, hey, do you know about this? And I'll reach back out to the resident, or I'll have the city manager reach back out to them so that the communication flow can happen. So, thank you.
And with that, we'll open the floor. Ms. Haley, do you want to start off here?
Right, so I have a few stories here. I know we've addressed some things, but residents still want me to share their stories so that we have the big picture of everything and what we can improve on. Good afternoon. My name's Haley King, and I live at 507 West 10th Street. I provided each of you with a timeline packet because I wanted to show how this project looked from a resident's perspective. I understand that infrastructure projects are necessary.
Can we turn? Yeah,
We gotta get
they can't hear you in the back. Yes, get your mouth right up there like you're a singer.
Gotta eat the mic.
Hello?
That's
You hear me?
better.
Yeah,
Okay.
you gotta be
Sorry.
Okay, good.
So I understand infrastructure projects are necessary, and I appreciate the improvements that the project is intended to bring to our community. However, for many of us, this project became much more than a temporary inconvenience. As you'll see in the packet, my property went from maintained yard with full access to months of construction impacts, excavation, and restoration concerns. One of the biggest frustrations was that the project plan stated disturbed areas would be restored within 30 days. Instead, many of us experienced more than 6 months of impact. It is stated in the contract that it would be 30 days. Throughout this project, residents dealt with limited access to our properties, safety concerns, uncertainty about timelines, and a lack of communication regarding what was happening and when. As time went on, my concerns became bigger than my own yard. I started asking questions about restoration standards, changes made to my property, and the authority being relied upon for decisions affecting access and grading. I met with staff, communicated with officials, and submitted public records requests because I simply wanted to understand what happened and why. Today, questions still remain regarding final restoration, drainage concerns, and whether the final condition is considered acceptable. This issue is no longer about one property. It's about communication, transparency, accountability, and making sure future projects are handled better than this. I love this city. That's why I've spent so much time asking questions. I respectfully ask the city to review this project, learn from it, and commit to better communication and accountability moving forward. The photos in this packet tell a better story than I can. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. That's a tough first act to follow. Who's next? Mr. Zach, and then her in the back. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. So I'm familiar with the project, but I'm kind of playing catch up on maybe some more of the understanding of how the project came to be about and sort of understanding the underlying problems that got us to where we are. So having done project management, I can tell you that project creep is a real thing. You set out with a scope, and then things happen, and 10 months past your deadline, you're still dealing with a quarter of the project, and especially when you're dealing with governments and funding and everything else like that, it can be a hard thing. So I kind of wanted to back up maybe even as far back as 2022 and kind of find out how the project came about and how we got here. So starting off, it's funded by CDBG. Is that 100% grant, 50% grant? How?
Yes, sir. Well, 100% funded grant. It's different phases. You have the design phase, the project management phase, and then the project construction phase.
So the total 5.2 was for design and construction, or was the 5.2?
No, 5.2 is for the entire project.
Okay. So when we had the extension for the 800,000, that came out of the city's pocket?
Not yet. So we have been told by the Department of Commerce that we should receive reimbursement for that project. We have not received the confirmation for it, but we should be 100% reimbursed on the $800-something thousand change order.
Okay. That's always good to hear. So when we started the design phase, what types of things would have occurred? Did they actually go out and do bore samples to find out what that bottom grade looked like? You know, were they doing LiDAR to figure out where the roads are? You know, kind of maybe walk us through a quick highlight of what they would have done, so maybe we could have mitigated some of these things in the future with having these change orders?
Yeah, so we did have a lot of core samples on the project. However, Glen Haven is a funky area, so there's a lot of old sand asphalt that was used probably back in the, I would assume, 70s to 80s, where they used a lot of the sand asphalt. So when you reclaim it, it doesn't meet the compaction. So you had several areas that did meet good did show good geotech with the bores, and then you had some that we knew were going to be a problem. It just happened once they started reclaiming, it was more than anticipated.
Yeah, and when you lay it down on marsh, it's always
That's right.
always fun. So with these pipes and stuff like that, they put the linings in them. Sometimes with these linings, there's going to be problems because you might have had old metal pipes that have been compacted a little bit. You might have concrete that have cracks in them and stuff like that. What's the warranty level on those linings? What sort of problems could we look at, or are these linings going to be good for 15 to 20 years no matter the pipes? Sort of.
Yeah, so typically I think the industry standard on lining a sewer pipeline gets you another 20 to 30 years on the pipe itself versus a complete replacement, which would be a 50-year pipe.
Yeah, and that it's expensive digging all those up.
Especially with gravity sewer and some as deep as they are.
Yeah. And so going through this project, I mean, it's expansive, like you said, 9th to 17th, you know, Ohio to Tennessee. We now have a good GIS model, correct, of all the engineering that's gone into the ground, where all the pipes are, everything like that. If there were changes like the one that might have occurred off Carolina, we've now noted that, updated our model. So going forward, we actually have a better engineering record now. So for our money, we've gotten a little extra.
Yes, actually two parts to that. So we will take the as-built once they're done. We'll take the CAD file, we'll send them to Bay County, who manages our GIS, and that will now accurately be reflected in our GIS. And then we will send them to our consultant that holds our model. We will import that into the model, so it will show the improved, 2-inch to 6-inch or 2-inch to 8-inch water mains, the stormwater collection system, all of that shown.
Okay. So now that we got into sort of the project construction, and this is where a lot of the problems are going to occur, and it always happens once you put hands to dirt. A lot of times you'll go through the right-of-ways, especially when you're digging stuff up. You'll do 811, so everyone sees all the little flags and the stuff like that. Has the city ever implemented a plan where you actually go and find the right-of-way markers and put like a white dotted line that says right-of-way so people actually know where their property lines start?
Yes, actually the contractor does a lot of that during stakeout. So you'll see a lot of wooden stakes with the orange flagging, and they'll be offset where it could be right-of-way line, and then you may see, 5-foot offset or 10-foot offset, just in case they're excavating at the right-of-way line and it gets moved out.
Yeah, but we could implement something where there's always that visibility. So whenever you start on a road, you can knock on everyone's door and say, hey, by the way, this is where the right-of-way ends. So they know that if stuff's going to be sitting on it, that's where it is. Another thing that I've seen done before is you have the little realtor signs and stuff like that. Anytime you're going to get started, hey, here's a project that's going to be started. Here's the scope of it. They have little 1-cent signs that they always do, or the $1 signs. And you've talked about construction as far as notifying people, but like I think Commissioner Warwick said, having these meetings and stuff like that, I think is going to go a long way, especially when you're putting stuff into the ground. I don't think people realize the scope that you can't just do it sometimes from the roadway. It has to be done from the other side when you're doing drill borings and stuff like that. So having the contractor out here, having those types of things, I think is going to be important. But I kind of just wanted everyone to have a technical understanding of what went through and into this project.
I love the white line thing. I love that I put it on there. It's
Yeah.
going to go on the sheet because a visual is worth everything.
Yep.
And if you drive through Lynn Haven, you can see anything from yellow flags to orange flags to white. I mean, I don't even know what they stand for. Flags are everywhere. And next thing you know, then you got a sidewalk going in and a white flag, and I'm going, what are they doing there? They're running gas.
So actually, Commissioner Turner, that's a good point. So red flags or red paint means power, orange means telecommunications, yellow means gas, blue is water, green is sewer, purple is reuse, and white is typically where the excavation is going to happen. So like currently with our ditch contractor, you'll see the white hash marks on the asphalt along the ditch lines. That is where the ditch contractor is going to be digging. So when they call 811, the locator knows exactly that they're going to be digging right there. So the white is always where the work is going to take place.
But I love the idea of having that marked where the easement ends, so that,
Yeah.
when somebody's yard's filled up with trucks and stuff.
And especially if you have a contractor, and I've done a number of these, when you have someone going out, they do a pre and post photos. So they know the conditions, and there should be some sort of report typically, even if it's a wide scope and they do it every, couple of houses and stuff like that. There should be pictures that can be looked at for pre and post so that the community knows that it's not just like we went into a black hole and they don't know what's going on. The other question that I had with statement that was made for the 30 days. Is that 30 days at the completion of the road, the completion of the contract, or a completion of a segment? Do you know?
So typically it's completion with the underground portion is done. However, the underground portion appeared to be done, but then in this project, there were some issues where we had to go back. So that 30 days got pushed out.
Gotcha. I think that's all I got for now, but I reserve my right to come up and be a pain in the butt.
Welcome to again. Sir, come on up. Welcome.
Hi.
Mike Crooms, I live at the corner of 10th Street in Alabama, 500 West 10th Street. They put the sod down already. Speaking of sod, we get water credit to water it? No water trucks ran yesterday or today.
The water trucks will come through and water it. Mr. Pullman can give a schedule of when they will water it when he speaks.
So that's a no.
On which part?
Giving us water credits.
No, sir, we're
To
not.
water the sod.
We won't issue water credits to water sod on the right of way.
Good enough, that's one. Number two, y'all put these new lights up around the school? The overhead street lights?
Is that us or is that Florida Power?
I haven't
They
seen
put it
those.
on every pole around the school. I would imagine that'd be y'all.
No, sir, we don't do, FPL does street lights.
That's not
So
They
tell
put-
us about it anyway.
Well, there's two of them on the pole right there on the corner now. And there's one right there on the pole between me and 914 Alabama. You've ruined my zen. My midnight pool swims, there's like swimming in a ball field now, all lit up. My neighbor doesn't want to see that.
Yeah.
Can we get a deflector and attach to that and deflect it towards the elementary school?
You said it's at 914 Alabama? The
No,
street-
I live at 500 West 10th Street.
Right.
500 West, 914 Alabama, there's a pole, there's a light. The light shines at the cafeteria, Building 9. We're going to talk about that in a minute. And it reflects back over my pool. I got pictures, but we can't be showing that. Can we get reflectors, please, to reflect the light away from me so I can enjoy my zen and not have to come down here? I've been watching everybody on YouTube. I see some of y'all I know just by watching. Anyway, next, the beautiful sod you put down. You said something about city right of way, and you said something about property lines. Who owns that grass between me and the building 9? I'm getting worked up. This is my pet peeve. Get off my grass. That is me today, I swear. Who owns it?
I would have to come out and look and see exactly where the right of way is to know where you're talking about for sure.
I'm told I don't own it.
I'm not sure.
I've been mowing it since 1965,
Just a minute.
Yeah, you've.
and it ain't mine.
I'll have to come out and look at the survey.
Or is it between?
But the survey's been done. My problem is that easement.
Oh,
The
That's the
right-of-way.
problem. What is a city easement?
So on that, it's
But
not.
what does it mean?
So on that, it's not an easement, it's the right-of-way. So typically, the right-of-way is 60 feet. In a perfect world, it would be from the center of the road, center of the street, 30 feet this way and 30 feet that way. Typically, that doesn't always happen. The roads can be offset from back
But
in the
what
day.
does that mean?
The right-of-way?
Yeah.
So that you have a right-of-way for your road, for your water, for your sewer, for your power, telecommunications, gas, any utilities to
That's
be
what I
installed.
thought. Is it free parking for the people at Building 9? That's the question that I got. Huh? Free parking in my yard? I got to step back a little. I'm sorry. I was showing aggression.
So-
Yeah.
So
I can
there's-
hear them fine.
Okay. I live over by Mowat, and people park right there every single day.
And they tear it up and they put
Yeah.
ruts in it and it don't drain and they're going to tear the new side up. Y'all are okay with that?
I mean, I'm not okay with it, but it's not mine.
Who mows it?
yeah.
There, no one, because there's no grass left.
Oh, I got grass. Y'all send the little tractor around through once a month and it reaches out there and does a little trim.
But the correct answer is that the city should be responsible for mowing it
But y'all need
because,
to mow it more besides once a month because it looks ugly.
all right, well,
Mow it.
taxes are going to have to go up if you want that, so.
Whatever. I live in Lynn Haven.
just
I
saying.
pay taxes. I don't have a problem with that. You can call me Mr. Tax if you want. Who's responsible, since you got me all riled up, who's responsible for edging the sidewalk in front of the house? Y'all put in a nice sidewalk. Who edges that?
Depends on what side of the sidewalk. Is
Any side.
on your, if it's on your side, it's you. If it's on the other side, it's the city.
But what happened to that 60 feet thing?
That, the sidewalk should only be on the public side, not the private side.
Yes, sir. So the sidewalk won't go onto the private property line, but city most definitely does not have staff to come through and edge sidewalk. I wish we did. It would look much greater throughout the city, but we most
I mean,
definitely
I'm
don't.
doing it, like I'm mowing for free for y'all already on that easement part you're talking about, but that stopped. I just wanted to get that out. I don't feel better about it, but, you know, I just wanted to share. The reflector, that's work on my Zen. You can see I need it. Let's get some light reflectors so I don't have to, you know. We good? Any questions for me?
Sir, we'll run down the light. I don't think that's the city. I don't know if that's FPL or what.
It would be FBO. We would contract with them, but we'll I'll give you my card afterwards. If you don't mind, shoot me a picture of it so that I can send it over to Mr. Risa with FBL. We'll get it addressed.
Yeah. So I win that. I don't get no water credit, and people can park wherever they want, and I got to edge the sidewalk on my side. Evidently, well, since you brought that up, is there no like rules to make people edge their yard and mow it? Because let's talk about that.
We definitely have code enforcement if they're not keeping up their yard.
So,
No, I quit last year. I called the Lynn Haven Police Department. It wasn't you though. And he declared eminent domain on me. And I threw up my hand. Well, he didn't use those words. I thought that'd be funny. Didn't get a good laugh. But basically, he said what he said, and I got to cussing, and I had to walk away because I was getting ready to zip his hide and taser, and it made me so mad. So no, I quit mowing it. My neighbor, 914 Alabama, the one with the little asphalt instead of the sidewalk or cement, same thing. Yeah, I ain't speaking for her though, but I mowed her yard too. I guess I'm just a grass cutter. Anything else? Oh, one more thing. I saw you once on YouTube talking about the people who put all the grass clippings out, the contractors who mow people's yards.
Yes?
They're not supposed to do that.
No.
And I'm done.
They're supposed to haul it away.
That's right.
Thank
If anyone doesn't feel comfortable coming up, just let me know, and I'll come to you with a mic if you want to do it from your chair.
So those are 3 tough acts to follow. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Ms. Haley will come back up again and speak, but if you're considering speaking, please do. You can come up here, or like I said, Commissioner Warwick will bring you a cordless microphone.
And these are people that Haley
These are
is-
people that I've spoken.
Yes.
Is it on?
Yes.
Okay. That I have spoken to that could not make it today. So I handed out a couple flyers, the flooding one. So this is from my neighbors that had flooding issues. The attached photographs from neighbors' properties represents just some of the experiences residents have had throughout this project. Residents experienced large excavation areas and significant soil stockpiles on residential property. Heavy equipment operating in close proximity to mature trees, landscaping, and front yards. Construction activities occurring directly in front of homes, limiting normal use and access to property. Extended periods of disturbance affecting multiple residents throughout the project area. The use of residents' private water source without prior approval or authorization, that were given a $20 water credit. Major flooding resulted from multiple water main breaks, causing yards to flood and water to approach homes. Driveways being poured immediately before a long holiday weekend and leaving residents and their personal property blocked in with little to no notice and no opportunity to make alternative arrangements. Limited communication regarding construction, schedules, impacts to property access, and changing timelines. Additional concerns raised by the resident. Questions regarding potential impacts to tree root systems and the long-term health of mature trees. Concerns about property restoration and whether disturbed areas will be returned to their pre-construction condition. Concerns regarding emergency access to homes during periods when driveways and streets were obstructed. Concerns regarding communication, accountability, and the lack of advance notice before significant impacts occurred. Why these photos matter. These photographs just demonstrate that the issue experienced during the West 10th Street Utility Improvement Project were not isolated incidents affecting a single homeowner. They reflect the experiences of multiple residents throughout the project corridor. While infrastructure improvements are important and necessary, residents should not be left without answers, without notice, or wondering whether their properties will ever be restored to the condition they were in before construction began. The goal of sharing these experiences is not to stop progress, but to ensure that future projects are managed with better communication, greater transparency, and a stronger commitment from the residents who are directly impacted by them. Thank you.
These pictures do really say a lot. And thank you for presenting. Who's next? Yes, ma'am. No problem.
I'll come to you, ma'am.
We're going to deliver, ma'am.
I'm part of the fixture here from years ago. I am Barbara Day, and I have a little, I don't know, can you hear me okay? All right. I'm one of the fixtures that was here back in the early, probably 89 and on. And I left like in 05. Let me tell you, this is the beginning of some things that went on then. And if you will go back and read, you will see that Lynn Haven has been dealing with that fuel depot for many, many years. We have some crisis going to face us, and I know that. I do too. Everyone does. But let me tell you, when Florida Power put their light poles down on Tennessee Avenue, you know where my power pole is sitting at? Because all the easements are so messed up with the property rights. They put it on top of the sewer manhole. So take that in consideration. I don't know who looked that over, but then you need to pay attention to these contracts that you're handing out. Number one, Panhandle Engineering, I don't mind saying anything about their name because they happen to be on board with this city for years and years. They get they oversee all the contracts. When they oversee the contracts, is it a friend, is it a relative, or is it for the city of Lynn Haven? I have watched this and fought the battles by myself for many years till Richard Walker came along. I don't even know if Richard Walker's here or not, but when he came along, hey Richard, he is the one that followed up behind me and my husband, which my husband is not here any longer. But I feel like that so much is, you're 65 and you're older are being abused. It's all about sending the code people out to give citations, and that's wrong because sometimes 65 and you have medical problems that come about. If you don't have them, hey, look forward to them. And so therefore, we got to really work on that. I had an episode with the people that are doing that project. I was coming back from the doctor, and I told my daughter, I said, hey, stop here. I got to say something. because all these heavy equipments happen to be parked in my yard, which I understand that, but I let them use my yard for a couple of months almost, park their trucks in. I didn't really like it, but, you know, I let them go ahead. But when you start taking these heavy bulldozers, you start coming on people's property, it does bother things. And one was driving. When we stopped, I said to the guy, if you don't mind, would you move your vehicles out of my yard so that the guy that's going to come and cut the grass will be able to take care of it? Because we've always cut the easement. I mean, as long as we've lived there. City's never had to do that. So therefore, you know what he said? That guy was still fussing with me till I got in my driveway and got in the house. He was still mad. I know he had to be cussing too, because I said to him, you know, sir, that is not the way you treat people. So you do not go and take those things and abuse people when you're getting paid by the city. So I don't know who oversees all of that, because you should keep a close watch. I did watch some city worker trucks go by. Nobody ever stopped. They stopped the stop sign. I do look out the window a whole lot. So I kept up with those guys. But that Florida Power, when they put that pole on my that sewer, there's going to be a problem. We have pictures of it. And if you need to see the pictures, that can be your little project to take care of and stop that. That's not right, because it's going to the fuel depot to Marina Island. That's where it's headed, all this stuff. So things are being piecemealed. The fuel depot has been on board, and I see some of you sit up there and vote. You do not read the stuff that you're voting for. You can't. It takes forever to read this stuff. So you got to follow the city manager. He shouldn't be playing with his cell phone sitting up there while you all are talking. City manager needs to be working for the people. So just watch all the videos. The things that I'm talking about, you watch the videos. So the things I've had to say here today, city manager, don't be bothering me, okay? Thank you so much.
I would like to address Mrs. Day. I am so tickled to see you here. It was years and years ago that you and Sammy would come to meetings, and I would also agree with you completely. You have a beautiful yard, and you have palms, and I'm not a landscaper either, but your yard is beautiful, and I can imagine having a bulldozer pull up even 3 feet onto your yard. But well, I want you to have credit for this. When you called me about the sludge, I had no idea what sludge we were talking about, but I called, and Kiki, our finance person, I said, what do we pay to have sludge hauled away? She said $54,000. I went, oh my God, what is it? And then Chris told me just the other day, it's all the garbage from the water thingy bobber down there by Kinsall Park. Anyway, that's a different subject, but I appreciate you. And I just wanted you to know that. Yeah.
I have one more thing that I left off. Can you hear me if okay. Coming back. I hate to put this on you to have to do that, and I don't want to hold it till I do. Okay, I got it. I got it. All right. I would like to go back to the year 22. Commissioners, please go back to 22. I'm sure they're all on video too, because a lot of that I picked up off in the video, and then I done some homework. But I'm sure that maybe next commission meeting, Chris Lightfoot can explain to all of the people that live in this city why when he went down to the Bay County Commission meeting in 23, we have a plan put together, and Chris is going to explain it to all of us. I want to better understand it, because that's when I think we sold ourselves. So maybe Chris will be able to explain it, and I can get the right story. All right, Chris, will that be okay? I know I've caught you off guard, but that's okay. That's okay. You remember year 22 and 23 when you were doing some plans in this city? You were Public Works Director. So I've caught you off guard, so you just go ahead and you do your homework and then come back and explain it to all of us, okay? Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
2023.
Ma'am, do we know what plans we're referring to?
No, you went down to the county meeting. It's there. Yes, please do, my hands. So if you want to go back and pull some of the minutes and explain that to me, I'm trying to understand it, Chris. I really am. And I don't want to blame you for something, but let me tell you, you remember all the enclaves on Sarasota that's coming back to the city of Lynn Haven? That's what is happening to us today. Okay, thank you.
I'm not sure.
Hey, Miss Day, I haven't had a chance to meet you yet, but I'd really like to meet you after the meeting if you'd hang around for a few minutes. And the city manager's going to come make sure he gets exactly what you want to find out about so that we can get that for you.
I don't have to document anything. The city manager knows what I'm talking about.
Well, I want to make sure he's clear so we can get it for you, ma'am. But I want to meet you too, so thank you. All right. Who's next? Mr. Walker? I saw Mr. Walker, and then I see a hand over there. Ladies first? Okay, ma'am, come on up. Come on up, and then Mr. Walker, you're next.
Hi, thank you so much.
Hi, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Annie Garrett, and I'm the property owner at 1112 Tennessee Avenue, and I'm adjacent to the Days there. I've lived beside them now for 25. Okay, for 25
You can
years.
move it down a little bit.
Better. Okay, so I'm the neighbor to the Days. I've lived beside them for about 25 years. One of the things I'd like to make a comment about as far as the equipment, because we have had a lot of equipment in our yards, like, 2 or 3 5-ton backhoes, front loaders, vehicles, trucks, trailers, all kinds of stuff like that during this entire project with the sidewalk addition to Tennessee. State Avenue in Panama City, they're working on that road. And what they've done is they have closed that road to traffic. And they have signs on either end that says, closed to through traffic. And that may be an option for all this equipment, that they've got to find somewhere to put it besides the residents' yards. So those streets that they're working in that moment, those portions of segments of those streets they're working in, that they could park their vehicles in the street or maybe not impact the yards of the residents that much. So that might solve some of that problem. I don't know if that's a feasible thing to do or not, but that might be something to ask BCL. And just a comment about BCL, I did talk to them about some of the runoff that's now being created. It's coming from the easement of the road, which normally it would run, north down Tennessee, and I never had an issue in the yard with ponding significantly. It would in the driveway, but not, in the yard, where the grass is. And now, whenever there's a heavy rain, I've got significant ponding in the yard as a result on the easement area, but the area that I maintain in the front of the house and the front side of the house. And I talked to the gentleman, I think, from BCL, and I think a P&D guy from the city, and they said that they'd make sure that they got that right before they left. But that's just going to be some addition to dirt and maybe a little bit of grass or something like that. But that day I spoke to that gentleman, they were very responsive, so I appreciate that. I know that is probably not everybody else's experience. And maybe I got them on the tail end of all those complaints that they were hearing from other residents, so they were maybe more willing to hear what I had to say. But yeah, that, I just want to make that comment. And also, with the improvements in the sewer and the water lines, would that cause a drop in the water pressure on anything downstream or south of the 10th Street location?
So it very well could have. There were many times where we had a water main that was hit, so there was either off or they were flushing, so it could have, or whenever they were flushing for the back tees, they did a lot of flushing, which could have brought the pressure down. But if you're still having a pressure issue, I'll get with you after this, and we'll have our water operator come out Monday and check it out.
Yeah, well, that's what I wanted to ask. Is that going to be permanent? Because I have noticed a reduction in the pressure. It's not significant, but it is definitely less
You
than
said
what
that
it
was
was.
1114 Tennessee?
1112 Tennessee. And I don't know if the days are experiencing the same problem or not. I don't know if they're on the same line that I am, but I've definitely noticed a difference in that. Yeah, Chris, I think, has taken a note there for me. Thank you. That's all I've got.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Ms. Garrett. Mr. Walker, come on up.
Good to be back. I never went anywhere. I took a vacation from the elected officials.
Well, welcome back.
Purposely. Thank you. And congratulations. Nothing's free in this town, and nothing's free anywhere, okay? You get delusioned into things like this that we're facing now. What happens here is the citizens have to put up with it, and they do put up with it. They're very gracious. This is a community. It was a community. It should still be. However, they do put up with a lot of things. For example, the area you're working in, 6 months out of the year, is blocked off by our police 2 times a day. There is traffic in that area that can't go anywhere because it's lined up from the school all the way down to Tennessee Avenue and probably into Panama City. That blocks off that area a lot. Don't laugh when we assume that this is being done for the fuel depot. It is. The fuel depot is not there anymore. That's owned by Marina Island LLC. It's Lynn Haven property. You're taxing them. You're doing everything with it. Let's drop the fuel depot thing. You're doing this in conjunction with what could possibly be. Be advised, and I'm telling you, I've been here a long time. This fuel depot, when it comes on, is not going to be any easy pill, any easier than what you're going through right now. This is going to dump something like you've never imagined into the area. So, get ready for that. If it comes about, we've been at this for 15 years with the fuel depot, Marina Island LLC. Hasn't come about. In 1911, property in Lynn Haven was bought by Mr. Lynn and a consortium of people. They owned the whole thing. Then they put it up for lots. Soldiers came down, good retirement, everything. Hey, you can hunt, you can fish, you can survive on your lot. This was the place. Again, they owned the property. You did not. You did not have a government, you had nothing. Okay, that means Mr. Lynn designed the streets, set up the plots, set up the lots, put it up for sale. They owned all of it. You did not. Later on, Mr. Lynn took a certain portion of the lots and gave it to the city that was formed. The city then rents it out to the power company, the television companies, the companies that have radios, and they charge. And they get the money, and they give it to you. You're making money off of our land. This is the citizens, again, taking this on. The statement, nothing's free. Most of the people in this town that have a piece of property don't understand there are easements that they have that they don't even know about. Okay? Easements. If this city doesn't get your taxes, you don't have your property. You lose it. It's gone. You have a day in court, maybe you don't. What I'm getting at here is the people in this area are going to be burdened now with a big project. Yes, it's a big project. Will it be good? Yes. Blaylock, Police Officer Blaylock, and I and Margot sat in the elementary school and designed a CRA project dealing with the sidewalks down to Tennessee Avenue to protect the kids getting back to school. Gone past that now. This is quite an undertaking down there. Understand this. The citizens count. They can't get out of their driveways now. They're blocked by the police twice a day. There's not enough parking up there. In 1911, 1913 through 1944, we made a mistake. We built a school there. And then what we did is we put houses around it. You have that problem too up at Hawks Landing. I know what you're facing. Let's do ourselves a favor. I think you better take a good look and plan a little bit better as we go ahead here.
Yes, sir.
As this thing comes on. And this is good. This is a workshop. This is good. Get the people's views. They're not being stepped on. They're not being hurt. But they're being impinged on and they're being restricted. And that's not why they came here. Welcome back. Good to see you guys again. Stay with it.
Thanks for
Thank you.
coming.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Bashir, what, you want to just sit? He just had foot surgery,
Yeah,
so we're giving him a break.
I'm just a little more crippled than usual. Just a couple things. I'm going to repeat some of what some people have already had to say, but I'm going to give you a little background on me because some people may know, some people may not know. I've run pretty good sized projects on civil engineering projects, stormwater projects, large equipment projects, computer projects. I've run a lot of different projects of pretty good size. Part of what I see right now is, and I asked Chris about this before, the city doesn't really have a manual, a property management policy or procedures or manual. They've got some guidelines from the state, of course, but there's no real policy or procedures. And that's something that I think they would benefit from, is by having a set procedure, because if you've got any particular employee in the city running a project, they need to have some guidelines and know what's expected and know what they need to communicate with. I would also recommend that on any project that exceeds the city manager's purchasing power, that y'all hire an outside dedicated project manager for that project. And he's the one that can end the finger pointing between the contractor and this person and that person, because that happens. I would just recommend thinking there might be a threshold where you want to hire an individual that does that. That's what they do. It's project management. So you don't have these kind of things. One item I was going to mention, which Mrs. Garrett mentioned on this particular project or large project, you have a lay down yard. You have a yard where you can lay your equipment or park your vehicles, and if it's closing streets off or parts of streets off, that's something that can be done to keep it out of people's yards. So she was spot on that, to do a dedicated lay down yard. One thing that you hold your contractors responsible for is housekeeping. You don't want them leaving a mess every day. Part of it at the end of the day is getting your tools up, getting the trash up, making the site safe. And safe is a big deal. You've got to be safe. And a project site that has clutter and litter everywhere, you're going to hurt people, whether it's citizens, the contractors, or city employees. You've got to clean it up every day. One thing that you may consider would be contractor qualifications, which would include past project satisfaction, their safety record, whether they stay in budget, if they come in on time, and if there's minimal change orders. These are the kind of things that, and I realize I come from industry, so we had a different setup on projects. We could do different things than the government can do. But some of this stuff I think the city's capable of doing when they're rating their bids coming in, and they can correct me if I'm wrong. I know there's some guidelines you have to abide by, but you may be able to add some stuff in there on qualifications of the bidders. And also, as Mr. Detweiler said, you want to look at their change order histories, or they have minimal change orders and project creep. If you're getting a lot of project creep, you've got problems in the engineering end of it, or you've got a contractor that's milking it, one or the other. The city's the ultimate owner of a project. They're the ones that ultimately ends the finger pointing. If my contractor is saying, well, the FPL did it, and FPL saying, no, TECO did it, and TECO saying, no, the city did that. Somebody's got to step up and say, listen, we got to fix it first, And we'll figure out who's going to pay for it, but we got to fix it. And we can't sit and point fingers and sit there and wait for nothing to happen. That's part of running a project. And that's where a project manager's really key. They've got to be able to do that. And really, that's all I've really got to say. It's just some things, I know a lot of this y'all do, but there's no solid in the concrete written policy or anything like that.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I just wanted to say that, I just wanted to say that the housekeeping thing is a big thing too. It needs to go on the list. Many days I would go by and there would be piles of stuff and there were no workers. They were gone for the day. And I thought more than once, oh my, that is a mess. And safety goes along with the housekeeping. When you have a 5-foot hole in the ground and there's nothing around it, any 10-year-old could fall in it and get hurt. So I think I've listed housekeeping. I'm also going to list housekeeping and safety. Should be a daily thing for sure.
Yeah, and you can think, well, the contractors are supposed to be responsible for their own safety programs, et cetera. But if somebody gets hurt on a site, ultimately, whoever gets hurt, if they're going to sue, they're going to go after the deep pockets. So the city is going to become liable at some point. So you have to consider that safety record.
John, I think you brought up some really good points, and I think we're on to something. Chris, you had mentioned the mailer from what DOT does, and from going to TPO meetings. DOT also on any project they do a workshop, or they do public information. They get it out there. I think we could learn from that, you know. And I know Commissioner Warwick mentioned that we could, at the beginning of a project, we could do a workshop. But I would think to keep things going, that maybe we can attach a hotline, just a regular phone call, even if it's to a department, or where if there's a problem on a certain day, that the resident can call a number. It could be just a regular city number, but highlighted, and leave a message, and the message would go to the commission, it would go to the contractor, it would go to the city manager, and we'd all be informed as to what's going on, based on what message someone left, and we could react to it daily. And that way, if the contractor, you know, didn't clean up a mess or something, we'd learn about it that day. So if we attached a phone number or a hotline to the project, people could call in, and we could get these problems solved a little quicker than to let them fester. So,
one last thing. When I was in industry, we had in our purchasing department, which would be procurement here, they maintained a list of contractors that had worked in the past. They had all their paperwork, all their documentation, their safety records, their bonds, all of that was in a file. So if they submitted something, they didn't have to go through all of that paperwork. They already knew they were qualified. I know we get some of that, I'm sure, but if you have a dedicated file system, you've got a procurement manager now that can maintain that kind of stuff. You've got a list of people that you know can do the work, and they may or they may not send RFQs in. You can go to that file, so you know they're qualified. If there's something missing from it, you can pull it and say, okay, well, this is it, call them up, see if it's still there. It just makes it easier, more streamlined, and quicker.
One other thing, Mr. Bashir, I really, really like the concept of a project manager. We really and truly, and Ms. Haley, I see you shaking your head, and Zach too, we really need a belly button, a professional belly button. Spearhead. Yes, sir. Well, we're reviewing engineer too, but we have this on the federal side. I come from the Air Force side, and so when you have a project manager, you have a person riding herd, right? They are literally overseeing, they are the government's belly button, working with the contractors, working with all the different subcontractors to make sure that things stay, to use a Jimmy Buffettism, in between the navigational beacons, right? They stay within the normal parameters, yards get corrected, broken issues get fixed, whatever the case may be. We need to really, really think through that and figure out a way to do that. If we do some type of assignment with the existing people we got, or we carve on a new position, however we do that, we really need somebody riding shotgun on these major projects to close that out. And so when Ms. Haley or Ms. Day have a problem, they can call one person, and that one person knows exactly what's going on with that project, and they can really quickly kind of connect dots. Go, well, we're having that, and then go out directly to the contractors and say, hey, sir, we're having this issue, right? And they can mitigate those issues a lot easier and quicker instead of just kind of the whack-a-mole, right? Trying to work across and poor communication or not the greatest of communication. I think that would help quite a bit. So, Johnny, thank you for that, sir. Yes, ma'am. Hang on, we'll get you a microphone. Hang on, I'll take you mine. Michelle? I'll take her. Okay. Miss Day, we're going to have you next, ma'am. No, ma'am. Hang on. Miss Bashir, and then we'll bring you a microphone. Yes, ma'am. Miss Bashir.
Good afternoon. I also have done project management, mostly on the light commercial and homeowners. So working with homeowners is something you have to give good service. And you've got a bunch of homeowners you're dealing with here. But when y'all did the 9th Street and 8th Street sidewalks, the contractors parked in. We live on a dirt road, so they were parked in our yard. The house next door to the road was vacant. They were parking in that yard. They
blocked our driveway with a porta potty.
Yeah. We had to have a porta potty moved so we could get out of our yard. I'd forgotten about that. But I don't know what behavior you expect from the subcontractors and the people that are actually on the ground. But I had policies that I enforced, from smoking to, leaving trash where they took their breaks, all that kind of stuff. Well, these guys were in their big Bubba trucks, were parked all over the place. They left rebar in our road one time. I saw it and able to move it, but I could have had a tire pierced. But they were fighting, they were yelling, they were physically fighting. They were taking breaks in that neighbor's backyard. The house was vacant, but still they shouldn't have been there. And trash, they left so much trash. But the thing that they never kept, the 2 years or however long it's been since that project's been finished, they've never come back and done the curb to Louisiana Avenue. We're filling it up ourselves with rocks over and over. We've been told that, there's no reclaimed asphalt, there's no this, there's no that, but they will not come and fix that. We've been fixing it ourselves. So, and then the sod, they didn't take care of the sod. It's just all.
Louisiana?
Well, no, it's the 8th Street. We just live off 8th Street.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
We're going to run that curb to ground for you. Chris already got a note.
Okay. I've asked for 2 years. Thank you.
Well, that's the first I've heard of it. We're going to get it. Well, I may surprise you.
Oh, well, thank you. I'll let you. I'm going to compliment a few things now. Number one, I would love to compliment the fire department. I know Mr. Lightfoot is looking to negotiate with the county, so you all pray, okay? I realize that it's got to be a lot of cutting, but right, does the charter say that we are responsible to keep the police and the fire department? I believe so. I don't know. Chris probably can tell us all of that. Also, too, when my husband was so sick, the fire department was on the scene in less than minutes. And let me tell you, those 4 guys, they worked hard to keep him living. It took the EMS over 45 minutes to get to my house. That's a long time when somebody's having a heart attack. So therefore, it's a lot to take in consideration. If you've never had to use your fire department, and I feel so honored to have them, they're just wonderful people, and those guys were so nice to my husband trying to keep him going. He lived almost 2 weeks after he got back to the hospital. So I'll leave a lot of that up to him and the good Lord above. It gave us 2 weeks longer with him. Also, it was just a sudden thing that happened. And so you have to be aware, be appreciative of the fire department. We're so fortunate to have them. We are so fortunate to have a good police department. I know bad went on, but it doesn't make all those guys bad. You know what I mean? You can have bad in everything you do. Until you get that bad out of there, you won't have nothing but just a lot of problems. So that's what I think you have to work on at this time, that you got to think about what's going on in the city that's causing this to happen. So if you don't mind, just remember, a lot of this took place back in 2020 and 2018 on down. So go read is all I can tell you. Just please read. I'm so concerned about the senior issues. I have a few little facts I would like to mention to you, and one will be, that's my honor about the fire, and I really appreciate them. I really do. And we should all be thankful to have them. And I'm thankful for the fire chief, too. I mean, for the police department, because, number one, they are always on the scene. And we've got some good guys in there. Some of them been there for years, you know. Don't go out and shop for someone. Just go ahead and think about somebody that's there already. Give them a chance. You know, I don't know if you've ever thought about this or not, but we have approximately 3,600 65 and older that live in the city of Lynn Haven. Be honored, they have the knowledge, right? You follow some of your 65s, they're pretty smart. I'm so blessed to be able to have a good mind right now. Not a good body, but a good mind. So anyway, the census update was from 65 to 69, we have 1,137. From 70 to 74, we have 1,020. From 75 to 79, we have 660. From 80 to 84, we have 452. We have a total of 332 that live in this city that are 85 years and older. So be appreciative of them. They have a lot of history in this city. Don't dump them because something's wrong. Just be appreciative of them. I go back to the CRA on, I think it's 10th Street and Michigan, if I'm correct. How about doing some homework on 10th Street in Michigan and come on, go down 10th Street, take care of all of that, see what's been going on with the CRA. Come on down 10th Street, circle around Lynn Haven School, check out the CRA, and then go back to the person that's in charge of that CRA. Talk to him. Get him to produce some receipts. Get him to show things that we need to see, okay? That, to me, is the way to do it. So, thank you so much. No problem.
Ms. Day, one quick thing, ma'am. Your point is very, very well taken on police and fire. Police, fire, and public works are the very core of who we are as a city. And for what it's worth, it hit it close to home. My next door neighbor, she was an honorary aunt of mine. Her widower is still living next door to me. I called him my honorary aunt and uncle for 13 years. We lost her last August 1st. And the little medical tech, she was battling Parkinson's. The little medical tech that was staying with her came over and knocked on my door and said, "Would you come please check on your aunt?" She was in heart failure. Got her on the floor, started doing CPR, told the girl to call. I live in Hawks Landing, so Station 2, Firehouse 2, is just right outside, right? They were there in about 3 minutes. And there was one lady and 3 guys that rolled in, and God bless them, they did an amazing job. They stabilized her, and she lived another couple of hours before we lost her. But your point is very, very well taken.
sure that that is turned on. It's simple. It's so easy. I could even show you.
Hey, Harold, you in the back, make sure we're running captions. Okay.
Lynn Haven Commission meetings, listening to them on YouTube, sir? So, it's on YouTube, but if you go to subtitles, it won't let you turn it on audio. Yeah, it won't let you do it. Okay.
Miss Day, we're going to fix that. That's an easy, quick kill, so thank you for that. Yes, ma'am. Thank you for that. Yes. Mr. Scray, nice shirt. Come on up. I've seen two of those before. We match.
Yeah, I figure I got to rock it if you gave it to me, right?
There you go.
Especially if I'm coming here. I didn't bring my 3, though, because I saw they were untimed. I won't take
No
forever,
time
though.
limits.
I'm going to start off asking a few questions. I'm going to say some things that probably people are not going to like to hear, but I promise I'll finish off with some positivity. To start with, Chris, can you answer how many individuals we have that work in the procurement team? Like, how many people are responsible for managing the contracts and purchases that the city does? One person. Okay. How many active projects, like, that would require a contracts person to do contract auditing in the field are active right now that you know of?
You mean construction projects? So
Construction projects, or even doing quality checks on other services that we are contracted for, like landscape.
So we have 2 active construction projects, this one and the Tennessee Avenue sidewalks, who look like they're running together, but there's 2 separate projects, and both of those have a CEI project manager, contractor.
Okay. And on average, how many purchases in a month is procurement making?
No, I would have no idea offhand on that.
Do you think it's more than a dozen?
Oh, for sure.
More than 2 dozen?
Oh, it's every bit of 100, I mean.
So it's definitely a full-time job just to sit in the office and do the procurement. I would expect nothing less. I applied for that position. I didn't even get a call back or schedule or anything. I would assume it's because of the salary requirement that I have. I have 17 years of experience in government contracting. I asked for a six-figure salary because that's what the experience in a particular position like that truly requires. If you're not going to give somebody that, you need to have a properly staffed department. But how do we do all of that when we have a $6 million deficit? How do we do all that when we're about to lose $2.4 million in ad valorem homestead tax, revenue? Everything that's been being asked for, and I was listening to this on my drive back from Pensacola today, costs money. And in a time when we're talking about cutting. When I was active duty Air Force and I did construction projects, I would go out to these projects and I'd be managing 5 to 6 projects at a time. I would be out every single day away from the office. Not only was it an escape to get out of the office, but it was part of the job to go out and see what was going on, make sure everything was going to plan, field complaints, just all of the quality assurance that goes with being in the contracting profession. Do you feel that Mr. Bracy, our procurement person, if he had to do quality assurance in the field, he would be able to get his job done?
No, that's not feasible.
Is that why we're relying on these subcontractors, these CEI companies?
So yes, we do not have the staff to do CEI in-house.
Okay. And so when you look into, and I looked a little bit into what our CEI does, but you'll know more than me. What kind of, I guess, what are the thresholds in which they are out there on our behalf fielding stuff like resident complaints, making sure driveways are not blocked? Like, how often are they expected to go check on a project?
So it depends on the project. So for this project, it's resident inspections. They're there 8 hours a day. If we have other projects, it's just what the budget can hold. So if you have another project, they may be at 25%, they may be at 50%. It just what the funding source is, how much the city can afford. Sometimes there is no CEI because there is no budget for it. You're relying on city staff to go do it.
Okay. Can you say what the acronym CEI is?
Construction, engineering, inspection.
And so in order to be a CEI, what kind of professional background does that person have?
So it depends on the project. I mean, typically, if you have a roadway project, they would have different types of certification through DOT. If it's a utilities project, they would have not necessarily any certifications, but just experience with water and sewer and underground utilities projects. Really just depends on what the project entails.
Okay. So if the city wanted to hire somebody full-time to do that, they would have to have a wide berth of experience. Would you say it would be a hard-to-find position?
Not a hard-to-find position. I mean,
Would
there's
it be expensive?
60 to 110 grand annually.
Okay. Okay, I think that covers all the questions I have. So now kind of more directing it at the commission, and I know Jamie's back there and he can hear too. Obviously, I said we have a $6 million deficit. Everything we're talking about, project managers and all these different quality things, hotlines, it all requires staff time. It all requires money. And we're in a deficit. We're in a budget crisis. So we're going to try to sit here and balance all of this out. And that's what you guys have to be thinking about. I mean, just to assist with procurement and have a second person would cost you easily another $50,000 a year to have somebody that can go out and check from a procurement standpoint and make sure that all these projects are going smoothly. And they're not checking the engineering standards like Chris just talked about with CEI. That's just making sure, somebody said earlier, making sure all the contract things are being met. That's mostly the piece I did when I was active duty Air Force. And then just to, go through and deal with all of the other things that come up on the contract side. There's so much more than I think you guys even realize in this because you guys don't do the government contracting. And it's not a fault of yours. It's just not the career field you're in. There's so much more. And I think we, as a city, we've put more on a one-person staff department than this city can bear moving forward. I mean, if Mr. Bracey has his kids have something at school or a doctor's appointment or he has something, that one person department is empty during that time. I'm not saying we need to have a robust procurement staff, but I'm saying we have a single point of failure and probably trying to think of the word here. Basically, we had too much on his plate. So I think that's something y'all ought to think about moving forward is the things you're asking for, yes, they're going to cost money, and do we have it in the budget or can we find something in the budget? I mean, for me, like I said, I asked for a six-figure salary to do that job because that's what I get now, and I have easily 2, if not 3 times the amount of active contractors at any one given time than he just mentioned. And that's not just the physical stuff, but that's the purchases and stuff too. And the portfolio that I manage is 3 times the city budget. Zach probably could come up here and talk to you similarly. Zach would probably be a better project manager for the city than I would be because I only do contracts and he's actually done project management. But that's the kind of stuff you're talking about here and you're needing for the city. Also, a big glaring hole that we have is who's the city's public information officer?
River Jordan.
Okay. Does she have, because I've never once seen her on an interview for the city yet. I know there's a podcast. I could not tell you what she looks like because I've never seen her face on behalf of the city ever, that I think. There's no clips on Facebook. I've not seen her at commission meetings talking. I've not seen her on the news. So if you're a public information officer, how is it that you're liaising with the public and providing information if we don't even know what you look like?
So typically on all of our interviews, the news or any of the media outlets would want to discuss either with myself or a department head, the police chief, the fire chief, depending on what the event is. So she coordinates all of that between.
Okay. So a lot of times, like, various presidents have the person that walks into the meeting room, right, and they field all the questions from the reporters. Obviously, we don't have that kind of news cycle here, but one recommendation I would make is maybe get maybe get the PIO more publicized and more familiar. You talk about a hotline. We could put a portal on the website, someplace for people to put reports out. Somebody said the signs, the little realtor signs, throw a QR code on there. I think just about everybody with a smartphone knows how to use a QR code. If you don't, have your PIO put together a video on teaching how. But scan those cards out or those QR codes when they're out at projects and say like, hey, if you have an issue or if you have questions, scan here, contact us. That's the kind of improvements that we can make with that information flow. And lastly, I just want to hit with some positivity. The things that you mentioned earlier, I was driving, so I could only listen, I couldn't watch, but the things you mentioned that have gotten updated, the things that are getting updated on GIS, I'm a heavy user of GIS. I like to navigate in there and see where different things are. I mean, that's a huge value add to this community that I think most of the public won't know just how big of a value that is. And this project, even though this project's had a lot of issues and complaints and struggles, I think this is a great learning opportunity for our community because there are many large projects to come. If whoever, I don't remember who, but whoever said this was like the biggest project we'll face, I think that's well short of what we are actually looking at going forward. I think we're going to see more improvements to the community in the next 10 years, and some of them may even be bigger than this. So I think we got a lot of valuable information. I know there was a lot of commentary about other projects in the past, but the way I see it, it's still a great city to live in. I'm still wanting to be here. And I think everybody up here wants the same thing, which is to just have happy residents and a happy place to live. You're never going to make everybody happy, but if you over communicate, I think you can get about 90%. So thank you.
I have a question.
Yeah.
You're talking to an old person now.
Okay.
What is GIS?
GIS, what is the actual acronym? Because I just typed in GIS.
Geographical Information System. It's basically the map of the city that shows our right-of-way lines. We have floodplain markings, flood zones, water, sewer.
It's a great resource, Judy, because a lot of times, so an example for Lynn Haven neighbors, it's a great resource to see if people that are trying to join that Facebook group, if they're a property owner. I use it a lot to get rid of this, there's a lot of scammers that try to join Facebook groups, and it's a good way, somebody will throw in an address and I'll look it up and I'll be like, oh, although it could be a renter, that's that address is not even a house, it's like a business, so obviously that's not theirs. And I also use it to find out what land uses are on certain properties. For example, recently we talked about AI data centers, which there's a distinction between regular data centers and AI data centers. And we don't currently have any land within the city of Lynn Haven that is large enough and has a land use code that could inhabit an AI data center. So I think we're at an advantage doing our moratorium and stuff than other communities, but it's a really useful tool. I spent a lot of time talking with I forget her name, the new planning.
Gina.
Talking with Gina, there's actually a lot of updates that she's wanting the county to make to it. So what I would recommend is, take 30 minutes and talk with Gina, and she could probably explain to you just how useful that tool really is, not just for the city, but for residents too. So, yeah.
I just don't like the acronym thing.
Yeah.
I'm tired of...
I don't guess what it means.
I know, I'm tired of acronyms too. I deal with 1,000 a day. I know somebody actually called out Sam in a meeting saying he didn't know what, he asked what ALPR was in a meeting. And I was like, the guy works in the government like me. He probably dealt with, 1,400 acronyms earlier in the day. And when you're up there, you're just not thinking in the context. So I don't really like using acronyms. I like to say out what it is, but some of them, it's just easier to say the acronym because it's a mouthful of words. So, yeah.
Mr. Scray, one other thing I'll add is your point is well taken on procurements or a CEI officer. I think would actually be a really, really good thing. We don't currently have that, but it's become glaringly obvious to me with this 10th Street project, which was a massive project. Commissioner Warwick, I think you said that. It's probably one of the biggest projects we'll undertake for our time on the commission. Anything worth doing right is worth doing right the first time. right?
Agreed.
And honestly, 10th Street community folks, we as a city team let y'all down. We did not do this as well as we could have. What we can do, though, is turn this negative into a positive and figure out how to not repeat the hiccups that we've had in this project so that other sweet little ladies like Miss Day don't have bulldozers in their front yard for months on end and problems that way. And we have basically a project manager to actually manage the project, work with the contractors, make sure that if we need to shut down like State Avenue, we do shut down part of State Avenue. Is it a pain in the butt for those of us trying to get the 23rd Street from here? Sure. But it works for them and it's short term and it's construction limited, right? So work smarter, not harder. We need to do that. So we're going to try to make right, and we're going to do our utmost to do right by you 10th Street area residents to make sure that your yards and your property is restored to what it was before the project. Going forward, I want to make sure we do our very best to make sure the experiences that y'all have had that have not been good are not repeated. And if one or two people start having that problem, we get our bird dog program manager out there, go, no. And they spot fix it. They correct it on spot, and it does not replicate and continue, right? Horses out of the barn here, but we're going to try to corral them up and give them oats and make sure they're good and make sure this doesn't happen again.
And just a final parting thought for the residents. Obviously, this is an eye-opening experience for the residents and city alike on what needs to happen for projects going forward. So when the city implements these improvements, the residents owe it in return to pay attention to what's going on. Sending out a postcard in the mail is a great idea. How many people throw crap away? Exactly. So the residents really have a responsibility to pay attention to what's going on too around them. I mean, situational awareness is paramount. I know you guys and Jamie know that. Situational awareness is everything. Pay attention to what's going on. There's construction on your road and it's not to your property yet. Well, what direction is it moving? How many days until it gets to your driveway? Oh, you have a doctor's appointment coming up. Judy, you mentioned that. It's not going to be possible to never, ever block somebody's driveway. But with proper communication and advance notice, the person can be notified, hey, we expect to block your driveway for this project between this date and this date. And then the resident says, oh, I have a doctor's appointment that day. I need to make arrangements, maybe park across the street or have somebody come pick me up or something,
I also, and I want to hear the next thing from Haley too, but I also believe, again, it's my age, I throw away stuff like that. If I get a postcard and I go, more garbage, and I just throw it away.
Yeah.
However, if you have 20 houses, and I don't even think there's that many in this project area on 10th Street, what's wrong with a sticky note? I don't care how simple it is. Put it on their door and say, we're going to be in your neighborhood tearing things up next Monday, and we'll keep you posted how long we're going to be here. I live on Virginia. I know they're coming my way, and I expect, I'll throw that your way, a note on my door saying, we are going to pave your street next week, so park your car somewhere else.
For clarity, do you go in through the garage, side door, or front door so they know what door to put it on?
Right. Well, I have a front door.
Right, but a lot of people don't. So I DoorDash deliver, and a lot of people don't use their front doors, side doors, stuff. So but it's all about over communication.
Right.
So go out and knock. If you don't get an answer, leave a note. Send the postcards. Over communicate. Put up the yard signs in the area. Hey, this project's coming through. Just over communicate. Over communicate. Over communicate. So thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Haley wants to.
Miss Haley, and then Zach, and then I saw a hand raised over here. I thought.
Oh, Nelson, yeah.
Yeah, sure. Would you like a mobile microphone? Come on up, ma'am.
Get it right down there to your mouth. Just, bend it over. There you go. There you go.
I know. Is it gonna fall out now? Yeah. You can't cuss that. My kids. Okay. Okay, so you guys already know from the town hall, because I was here before. And so my background is technology and looking at systems and workflows. I'm sorry, looking at systems and workflows and things that might be a gap. I know everybody's getting tired, so I'm going to cut to the quick of this. The one thing that I do is we frequently will review what's going on and say what went well, do a hot wash, if you're familiar with that. We look at what do we need to sustain? What do we need to improve? What do we need to look at? So if it's okay, I want to share just a couple things that went well. And then I will probably just let you read my papers because I have some suggestions. There are overlaps with things that Mr. Bashir said and with Mr. Scray with a couple of caveats to it. So the one thing that I do want to say is the Bryce from Dewberry. He is a young man that's on the project. And when I complained about the void, there was a void in our yard that was actually caused by workmanship, unfortunately. And I said to Bryce, because these people have been in my yard for 6 months, I feel like they're friends. I'm probably at this point, I literally know almost all of them by name, it seems like. And I said, there's a void. And he said, I think you're right. He said, this is not normal. Something is wrong. And I would call and I would say, something is wrong. Something was wrong. And they would come and fill it. Well, they finally, this last time after another rain, he came up and he talked to me and he said, I knew that you were, it was so nice to have that empathetic instead of being dismissed, because in many conversations I was dismissed. And that was really, really hard. Tori from ECSC is another one I would love to call out. He went out of his way to come when things were not going well and things were not right. And Tori said, this is not okay. I'm really sorry you're having to go through this. Like, it was 6 o'clock at night, I think. He came to our house one time. And I just couldn't believe it because he was showing us compassion. And we were not able to access our front yard for 5 months. And that was difficult because we had to go on the side that was unlit. And I was trying to be patient. I've tried to be really respectful this entire time. And just to have that human component from ECSC, because most of the crew was very polite to us, but they didn't have a lot of power to do things. And he took the initiative to do that. I really appreciate it. The third thing is I do want to highlight Chris. I talked to Commissioner Warwick not too long ago. And, oh, there you are. Yes. And one of the things that we talked about truly is it's an oversaturated position. And I called Chris after meeting with Commissioner Tender about feeling just so tired of not being able to access our property. And it wasn't a situation of not being warned. It's that I would go out for dropping off a child. I would come back and 20 minutes later, completely blocked off, no notice. So it's not like I wouldn't have prepared. I would have if they had told me. And so the communication piece was not there. I was getting frustrated. I talked to you. And then we called Chris. Chris came on a Friday night on a weekend. I know he was tired. I know he was ready to get home, and I really do appreciate it. And then he said, we're going to make this happen. I did get a driveway. Thank you. So now we are safely, and now we do have a new issue that's emerged. Chris was the one that helped us with the scope because I said the workmanship, I've been saying since January, something is wrong. Whenever they do the slope, the fall for your sewer line, they had to replace more than 20 feet on our property, way beyond. So like they were up by our house. I do understand that's part of Public Works, so that's okay. And I'm so thankful that he was willing to do the scope because there was a problem with the workmanship and sewage was backing up to my house. This was not work we did, and it was not, we didn't have any inspections. I was asking for that. So I'm really thankful. Chris has been responsive, and he did show up whenever, and maybe it's because you're tired of me emailing you. I don't know. But I try to thank him in every single email. I always say thank you for your service to our city and for doing things. So those are the things that went really well. And in general, everybody was really polite. They were a little bit messy. They didn't clean up very well, but we'll deal with that. The next thing is I put in the packet some of the patterns that I observed. It's not a packet, it's actually just a one-pager. There were things like being dismissed, lack of access, things that everybody's already described, so I don't want to reiterate it. But I do want to talk about the solutions, because I think that's really important to say, what could we do to go forward? This has been really sad. I don't want it to happen again. I was really frustrated. We went and stayed over at family's house quite a bit because it was so disruptive. Our water pressure has also been completely, I will email you about that if you'd like. We can talk about it. Our water pressure has been down since this project started. So a lot of that has not been restored. We have rocks in our dirt. It did not get graded. The sod is just on there. It did not get graded. There's still tons of concrete. There's a big gravel dump in my yard that just got left there. And so there's lots that needs to be cleaned up. But I do think that it's been an oversaturated situation. So I was thinking to myself, knowing the budget constraint, and because my background is AI automation and workflows and system setup, there are tools that we have. So there's 3 asks that I have. Number 1, I think you have enough volunteers, especially in this room, to have a volunteer committee that would help with some of the resident advocacy and communication. I really do. I mean, it probably wouldn't be to the point of postcards and things, but it would be free, and it's something to consider because you have people that obviously love this city. So some kind of support for the public information officer as a resident committee, that's one. The second thing is, I think that the reporting system, it's really interesting because I had thought the same thing. You don't even have to set up a hotline. I'm pretty sure I already know what operating system and technology that you guys use. There are tools within the software that you already have that can be set up with workflows so that residents can self-report, and then you can have that compiled. They can take that information, and then they can, like the software, can do an assessment for you. They can send you a brief each week and say, this is how many, and it's completely automated. You don't have to pay anybody. You don't have to do anything. And it'll go to you, and it'll say, this is what's going on. Here's some escalation issues that haven't gotten addressed. This has been 60 days. This has been 90 days. Something's really, really wrong. And you don't have to pay a person to do that. Residents can self-report and do what they need to. And then the third thing was the public information, which they've already covered ad nauseum, so I'm not going to go over that. So anyway, those are the suggestions that I would have, and I would love to see us really do better on the next project that we do. And I think it was not because of anybody's malicious intent. I really do. I actually have a lot of empathy for Chris. I wouldn't have your job if you know the truth. So that's it.
Ms. Nelson, thank you. And that is a perfect idea of a volunteer committee to support the city manager and the PIO. I don't know why the heck we haven't thought of that before as a city. Maybe they did do that in the past, but we've not been doing it recently. I think that would actually be great. Even if it's just 2 or 3 people within a major project, you have belly buttons there. They could work with a project manager. They could work with the PIO, the city manager. They could be kind of the point people with their neighbors to let them know and to back channel issues and complaints and concerns. And we need that because we don't want this to happen again.
I said we need a resident advocate. We don't have anybody that I can go to. And I mean, and I did feel bad going to Chris because he's managing like a resident advocate as a volunteer or something, because Chris is managing multi-million-dollar project, and I'm calling him about, a $10,000, $3,000, sewer lateral and all this stuff. Like that's just not in his scope. It's not fair. And so if we could help him in that way, I think it would be really good.
The city manager and I were literally having a conversation, and we didn't use that exact term, resident advocate. I think we called it citizen advocate or something very similar, but it was to give our city commissioners and mayors, as they rotate off, an opportunity to continue serving for a year or two and trying to think through. They know everybody at that point, or at least they understand the processes. They know the city hall people. How could they continue to serve when their term limits are up and they kind of ride off into the sunset, right?
That's right.
With all that inherent knowledge. A community or a resident advocate, I think,
really
is
like
the perfect role that we
and
could
things
offer.
like the picture is basically that we had the heavy equipment go through our yard for no reason, basically. They used it to cut the corner instead of going around. They weren't doing construction. They were just driving through it. Something like that is something that a resident advocate, I know.
That's
I lived there. I actually saw it in person. So it's pretty bad.
Feel that you could literally put a little canoe in it. Our kids could waterboard on it.
It was deep. And so now it's mostly rocks because the backfill was like dirt with concrete. But my point is, that's not something that should be at that level. It shouldn't be at the city manager level. And it shouldn't have escalated to that, the complaints and the things that we had to address, months and months of, hey, we need to get this addressed. And it's just too hard.
But if we get a project manager, that is exactly what a project manager should be doing.
Mm-hmm.
And if we have a recently retired commissioner, mayor, whatever, civil servant of some sort, serving as a citizen advocate, that person can also plug in. And I use the term belly button, but in a very good, positive way. They're intersections, they're points that people can go to and say, hey, I'm having this issue, and they can help get and connect with the right people to make sure that those issues are up-channeled to whoever needs to see it to get it promptly addressed, right?
Or to facilitate, like one of the pictures is the drain. It's at a high point, and that was back in January. That you guys have the same picture. Oh, did I not give you one? They should be the same pictures. So I've mowed that just like Mike. I've been mowing our yard for 20 years. I could tell you where the high points are. And so when they put the drain at the high point in our yard, I'm pretty sure I said to Mr. Baker, I'm pretty sure we did, we were like, that's an unusual design. And he said, well, maybe it's for venting. But then I saw the next drain was also at a high point. And I'm like, so they're all at high points. Turns out they had to come back and do the work again and lower them. But we had expressed that to Public Works in January. Something's not right. And I wish that there had been a little bit of a liaison to say, hey, they're all saying this. There's probably something to it. So that would be it, just to give the residents a little bit of a voice. But I just think it's too much to stack on top of Public Works and on top of Chris. So
One thing that all of y'all have done today is y'all have all been very, very helpful in thank you, Ms. Nelson, putting a face with an experience. Come on up, ma'am. Or we can grab you a microphone. Putting a face and very specific issues with this whole kerflunkle, if I may use that word. We need to do better as a city, and we will do better. I think the key interlinkage that we were missing, though, is that liaison, is that project manager. And that's kind of bad on us as a team, as an organization. But when you identify a need, you fill that need, right? So sincerely, thank y'all for these inputs very much. Ma'am.
Hi. Thank y'all for being here, I know, on a Saturday, and thank you for all the community to be here as well. It's really important that we get together and we talk about this. We are Lynn Haven residents, and I thank you for being able to watch everything online. I know that even if there isn't a lot in the room, there is a ton of people online that are supporting you if it doesn't fit with their schedule. So I really want you to know that eyes are on you, and you have a lot of support. So I am in business. I have done a lot of project management. I most recently designed and self-contract and built our house just right down the road on the water. And before that, we lived on 15 acres. And I learned, unfortunately, through a lot of loss of money, my husband's sitting back there, of how important grading is and quality is. And I just want to say I'm here to support our neighbors everywhere and close friends, but the quality of work has to be addressed, and these have to be addressed from the people that are putting on the work. And as a business owner, I own early education centers, and I do a lot of everything, and I will tell you that babysitting contractors is more of a full-time job than babysitting children. And the quality of work that has really went down in the last 10 years, and I mean, we can talk about all of this, why, but we are dealing with less and less of a quality of workmanship in general in our area, in our community, in our country, and all of that. And so maybe this is baked a little bit into their bidding system and how that works, but that more hands on the ground need to be there in order to truly overlook the quality of what is being done. Grading in particular, we will always be chasing water in Lynn Haven, okay, no matter where. 1 inch of grading can make a complete difference. And I want the citizens to know how important that the land work is. And when I saw the picture of the tree, I think that's why I really came up here to talk, because not only did we lose a lot of money in our 15 acres and had to hire one of the best graders in this area, which then you have to become almost a expert yourself in grading, but we lost over 50% of our trees because of the grading. And in Lynn Haven, I think our trees are like gold right now, the ones that we have left. And so I think that that's really, really important, that the people that are putting on this work understand that, and we need to be mindful that anytime there's work around established trees that we have left, these are very important to the homeowners. It's important in our own homes, what we have left, that there is much finesse that is happening in that kind of area. I would say the quality from the pictures from driving by, it just needs to be addressed. I know a homeowner doesn't need to tell a contractor that the drain is on the high point of the yard. They should have already been on site before that even happened. And so that does fall back to the ones that are coming up and looking at the quality of work, the quality of bids, who is bidding, what kind of work have they done. I promise you, if you go over to 30A, they have a lot more finesse and a lot more mindfulness of their homeowners than they do here. So it is our job as citizens and as the government to really to be the advocate. And we may not know a lot about contracting. I do, but if you don't, we do know what good quality service is and what good quality care is and what our expectations are as residents of Lynn Haven. We want it all to be beautiful. We want it to be a safe place. But I just want to advocate on their behalf. They don't know what they're looking for, and maybe you don't either. But the ones who were doing the work and the quality work absolutely do. And in the early education world, 10 years ago, what took one teacher to oversee something now takes two. And that has to come out of my pocket as a business owner, because the quality is what is important. And so we can't be looking back about what, however the bidding system works. I understand some, but that they need to be very, very aware that the quality, our residents, what they're doing, and is very much done to the highest standard as possible, because we deserve that. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Haley.
Okay, I have another story to share from a resident. This is Martha Ross's story. Martha lives at 1218 Georgia Avenue here in Lynn Haven. For her, this project has become much more than construction and convenience. It's become a health concern. Martha has an artificial right eye with an implant that cannot be replaced. A thin layer of skin covers that implant, and because of the dust from this project, that skin has become severely irritated, as red as a beet, she said. But what's only part of her story? Earlier this year, Martha underwent cancer surgery on her left eye, the only eye she can see out of. She lost her bottom eyelashes and about 1/3 of her lower eyelid. The dust that continually comes into her home and fills the air when she tries to be outside has caused that eye to become red, irritated, and painful. Martha is deeply concerned that this ongoing exposure could become a serious medical issue and potentially threaten her health or her only functioning eye. She wants people to understand that for some residents, this project hasn't just been an inconvenience, it's had real personal and physical impacts. She is simply asking that her concern be heard and that something be done before the damage becomes even more serious. Particularly with this, it's about paving the road. So her road still has not been paved, so she's worried about that and the dust that's coming from it. A couple concerns that I had is, as Beverly mentioned, we did have the grades put on the high point, and they were above the terrain. So we had talked to the engineers, and we had talked to we talked to Bobby Baker, Danny, and we spoke to many people. I've talked to John on the phone. Everybody is, yeah, I'll get an answer and call you back, or dismissive. I haven't gotten definitive answers. So I did do a public records request for the change in the plans on my property. I cannot get any answers as to when this was approved, when the change was made, who approved the swell in my yard, which restricts access now to my gate I cannot use. And it's very evident that you can see my neighbors and where the swells are and how different theirs are than mine, and the disturbance that this has caused. When I came to the city and asked several questions, specifically about this, I was told that legally they only have to allow me one point of access to my property. So I would like to know where the ordinance is for that. I have asked for it repeatedly for over a week and have yet to be. I've just told it exists. We don't know what the name of it is. I also asked in the plans and the contract several times, it's mentioned that restoration will be done within 30 days of the pipe being laid. When I brought this to the city manager, I was told that that shouldn't have been in the contract. It was missed and never should have been in there. So my concern is who's holding that accountable, who's reading our contracts, and who's advocating, like everybody else has said, for us, the citizens. It's I was told that I would like to know when this was made, because they finished laying our pipe in January or February, I believe. I think it was February according to the timeline. And when was this found? Was this found in February? Was this found in May? If it was found in May, why was my yard not restored prior to it? Just because it has to be dug back up because of poor engineering, why am I the one being punished for my yard looking the way it did for 7 months? Those are my concerns and what I'd like answers from the city. I like the solutions that we've come up with some of the things, but I think finding the advocate and somebody to hold accountability. I feel like blame's been pushed around the room, and I just want to know who's going to fix it, when's it going to be done, and I was told that the grass was laid, so it was done. Well, again, as Beverly mentioned, it was not graded at all. So I tried to pull my trash can up Friday, and I was tripping all over the place because there's holes in the yard. There's rocks everywhere, big chunks of cement. And then there's also, they took the bulldozers up into our yards. So against our fences, we can't open our gates now. So when I spoke to Danny about that issue, because to grate that up against the fence, you're going to need heavy equipment. So I asked, why is the sod being laid before restoration is completed? And I was told, oh, they'll do it by hand. I've yet to see any work done by hand, and I'm not sure how you would do that extensive of work by hand. So if they have to dig up my grass again, who's responsible for that? Who's responsible for the grading? So I have a lot of questions that I'd like answered and ordinances that I'd like to see. Thank you.
Ms. Haley, don't step away.
Yes, sir.
Yep. So one thing I will publicly commit, and I'm signing myself and the city manager up for, is to give you answers to your particular property.
Thank you.
I'll give you that within the week. Chris and I will set up a meeting with you. We'll pull in whoever city-wise we need to. We will give you a straight and clear answer.
Thank you. That's all I've been asking for.
The other thing, since you have been, an excuse, I mean this in a complimentary way, you've been bird dogging this.
Yes.
I would actually, even though we're down to the last 3 months of this project, hopefully, I would actually like to ask you to be one of our volunteer committee belly buttons, liaisons, interfaces.
Yes, sir.
We need a project manager to spearhead this, but in the interim, for the next 3 months, I really need a couple of residents with skin in the game.
Yes, sir.
To do exactly what you've been doing for the last week or two.
Thank you.
And I would like to ask you, and if there's someone else from the 10th Street community that would like to do that, I'd love to have a second. But Miss Haley, Miss Nelson, sorry, I couldn't see you behind Haley. So I see your hand now, ma'am. Thank you. If Miss Haley and Miss Nelson will be those belly buttons. She's called me. We've talked multiple times on the phone, and the city manager as well. For the duration of this project, we will work with y'all, and I promise you, on behalf of the commission and the city, we will make this as right as we can. Y'all communicate your issues and needs to us. Please use Ms. Nelson and Ms. Haley as kind of, make sure at least they're aware of your issues and concerns, even if y'all are coming and talking to us directly, so that we're all on the same page. And before this project closes out, every one of y'all that have an issue, a concern, or need a restoration of some sort, we can get that properly addressed. And if you need a straight-out answer like you do, Ms. Haley, that we give it to you.
Thank you.
May I say something?
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to say that he means what he's saying, and we can all hold his rear to the fire because he has said it out loud, and it is on video, and this is your time. This is your time to shine, too.
No, I don't need to shine. I just want to help. And we all do. We all would not be up here if we didn't love this city and love our community and our neighbors. We're in a bad spot because we're reacting, okay?
Yes, and I'm sorry it took this long. We were intimidated to come to y'all. We went to the appropriate channels and got nowhere, so.
I hope this never happens again. And I will speak for all 4 of my fellow commissioners. None of us want this to happen again. I pledge to you, we all pledge to you, we will work with y'all and we'll make this as right as possible.
Thank you.
Come on up, sir. And then, sir. You want to come up or would you like a microphone, ma'am? Oh, we're coming with a microphone. Zach, you're next, buddy.
Well, they need to hear you online.
Corner of 12th and Tennessee, southwest corner, there's a piece of pavement missing out of the road there that's been that way ever since before they even started the sidewalks over there. Can you get that straightened out? Also, Chris, I got a question for you. I'm going to put you on the spot now. What's that pad for on the southwest corner by the stop sign? It doesn't connect to anything. They went and poured cement there. What's the purpose of it?
Yes, ma'am, that's part of the Tennessee Avenue Sidewalk Project, and that's just the future landing for the crosswalk to be able to extend the sidewalks in the future.
So they're going to extend the sidewalk across 12th Street there?
In the future, yes, ma'am.
Okay, then what are they going to do with the drainage ditch that I've been the one that's maintained the drainage ditch that Lynn Haven hasn't, because I'm the one that's digging it out and I'm the one that's mowing the right-of-way there? What are they going to do when the water doesn't drain?
So we haven't designed the project yet, so we'll address that during the design.
Well, I sure hope you do a very good job of it, because right now the cement that's there on 12th and Tennessee, on the opposite side, the water collects. The water does not drain. All you've done is create a bigger problem there than we had before. Thank you.
Ma'am, what was that? Hang on, Jamie.
I got it.
Ma'am, what was the address
I got it.
for the hole in the
12th
road?
in Tennessee.
12th in Tennessee? Okay. And did you say the southwest corner, ma'am? Yes. Okay. Thank you.
One thing that I would like to say, does Chris Lightfoot have identity on the side of his truck when he's driving around?
I drive my personal truck, ma'am.
I understand that, and I know the city pays $700 a month for it. So this is what I want to say. There is a liability if Chris is driving a truck around. Somebody needs to do homework on this. Commissioners, please. There's a liability him driving a truck around taking care of city property going on your property. So how about us taking care of that? Just get him a sign made and put on his personal truck, because we pay for him to drive that vehicle, right? Your seniors are not going to let him come to their door. I can tell you that unless they call. And what do we got? 3,600 of them in this city? So he's got 3,600 doors that some people might not even open because of him. So let's put liability on there. I take care of it. Put the sign. Okay, let's make a little sign. I don't care if it's right by his window, wherever. We need to see it when he comes to the door. Okay?
You're talking
just
about
protection.
Like a auto magnet with a city seal or
Yeah,
something.
he can take
right?
it off if he wants to go to a restaurant with a friend or whatever. Yeah. Just as long as he's in this city, he needs a sign.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you, Miss Day. Yes, ma'am. Zach, come on up.
So this is kind of the other half of the hand that we're going to go through. So one of the things that I talked about in my interview was encouraging people to take ownership of problems in the city so that you had a champion for people, right? And Mr. Bashir brought up a great point. Project managers are usually that point of contact, but we can expand that across the entirety of the city, because it's not just engineering projects, it's not just construction, we have problems in every single department. So who's that person that the people know to go to? If it is a director, how efficient is that director at answering problems? Is that even a part of their evaluation every year? Do we know how good they're at it? Bobby, I worked with Bobby during Michael for years. How good is he at answering the problems of the people? This is a public works project. Ultimately, if we don't have a project manager, the buck ends with him. Moving forward, it's a metric that the city needs to look at, is who's the champion for each thing that is going to affect the public, and how well are they communicating the results of that to the people and bringing questions forth and problems forth both to the commission and to the city manager. If you are going to have wide-scale things going on that are going to affect multiple people, you should have a project page. And I encouraged Alan Branch to do this and Jonathan to do it down in Panama City. They're starting to do it. I've encouraged the beach to start doing it. And I would like to see the city of Lynn Haven do it. Hey, 10th Street project, here you go. At the top, project manager, point of contact, whatever it is, that name goes nearly at the top of the page. So anyone that clicks on the 10th Street project knows, hey, I can call this person, here's their email address. Be it a third party, be it someone that you've hired, be it the engineering firm, whoever it is. I would like to know information about these projects. Why can't we have a project page on the website that says, here's a quick map of everything that's going to be going on. Here's a timeline for everything that's supposed to be happening. Here's the funding, here's the amounts. It's not a hard thing to set up. I've built websites before. It would take someone maybe 2 hours to put together. Having that kind of information out in the field, but also, like you said, everyone doesn't want to use Facebook. How do we get this information out? Well, city websites usually that point of contact, and like Ryan said, the POI should be that type of position, type of point of whatever that is putting that information out. Well, website should be a great way to do it. Getting on to the points of a project manager, and Mr. Bashir highlighted that perfectly. Whether it's internal or external, you need to have it. There isn't, even Callaway uses them, and Callaway's about the size of us. Panama City, I believe, has 7 of them now. The beach has 4 of them. I mean, look how many projects the Panama City's doing. I mean, they're basically redoing all the roads in their entire city right now. Funding for that, especially with a grants project, you can put T&M, time and materials, you can put administrative costs into those. You can bake in the cost of a project manager into a grant. We bake them into almost every one of the projects that I used to work on. There's no reason that you can't say, okay, well, we're going to hire either internal or external project manager for 3 years at $120,000 total cap, and we need to add that in. State's going to look at it and go, okay, well, what are their responsibilities going to be? Well, their responsibilities are going to be X, Y, and Z. Okay, so they're going to manage efficiency, effectiveness. They're going to hopefully reduce the likelihood of cost orders or change orders. They're going to likely, look at engineering and go, okay, we're not going to put drains in high points and things like that. They're going to catch errors beforehand so that we don't have an $800,000 change order. That's the effectiveness of having that champion for the city. And so I want to not just look at this project, but going forward, we're going to, $15 to $50 million on a stormwater solution. We're going to be looking at not stormwater, but wastewater. We're going to be looking at stormwater problems because, we wanted to do something on 17th Street that eventually needs to get done. We need to clean out BD Bayou. We need to clean out Lynn Haven Bayou. We need to, repave probably half the roads in Lynn Haven. There is going to be a substantial number of projects in the next 10 years. Stop looking at a budget as year to year. Let's start looking at a budget as 5 years, 10 years down the road. Now let's talk about what we just talked about. How many change orders has this city had just in this building? That cost us how much money? Who was the champion overseeing that? Who was the point of contact overseeing that? How much money could this city have saved? We're talking about cutting budgets. How much do we waste? Can any of you 5 that have been sitting here, or Chris, tell me how much the city has wasted just this year for things that we didn't foresee coming because we didn't have a point person? You want to talk about cost efficiency, cost effectiveness? A project engineer, and I know I talked to you about this, I've talked to Chris about this, and I've mentioned it to a couple of the commissioners. One project engineer or one engineer on staff plus 2 SkillBridge engineers could probably save us hundreds of thousands of dollars in the long run just by finding the errors that we're paying out of pocket, because this one thankfully was 100% paid for. But how many projects do we do a year that we pay for out of pocket? How many of them need change orders? And how much of that is covered by taxpayer money? Let's talk about lawyers that you guys are going over right now. Minimum caps versus maximum caps. Are we looking at the effectiveness of, are we going to have a flat bid amount, or are we going to have built-in costs that are going to get us to $500,000, $600,000 a year that it's not going to be effective? For accounting problems, for legal problems, for engineering problems, for construction problems. It's a metric that this city currently does not look at very well on the large scope, on the long term, to account for waste. And waste, I promise you, if you really started accounting for it, adds up to millions of dollars over a segment of years. So I just want to put that out there, that having champions isn't just about the cost of a project manager. Yes, you might pay them $100,000 a year. You might save $500,000 a year if you're going to be doing $50 million worth of projects. They pay for themselves. But without those metrics to look at that, you'll never know that answer. So I would like to see that, maybe not in this budget year, but as we move forward as a city, start looking at the effectiveness and efficiency of the waste and what we could do to solve that problem, because that's a great segment to save money in a budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Zach. Mr. Bashir.
Yeah, real quick, just to cover what a couple people have said. One was Ryan talked about communication. You can never over-communicate factual data. You can never over-communicate factual data. Now, you can over-communicate rumor, but factual data, you cannot over-communicate it. And as Mr. Detweiler says, on large projects, include the cost of your project management in the budget. Fund it, improve it, it's in the budget, you can afford it. You know, yeah, it's going to cost money, but you've got it in the budget, you know it's there, and you can spend it. So that's one thing. The last thing is, I was kind of surprised when Mrs. Day said something about the police department and fire department being in the charter. So I looked it up, and on section 21, officers and departments, it says, officers and departments of the city of Lynn Haven shall consist of a city attorney, police chief, fire chief, city manager, public works director, finance director, and those departments as established by ordinance. So it is actually in the charter that we have a police chief and a fire chief.
Ma'am, would you like to come up? Or you want a microphone? Okay. Good afternoon.
Christy McElroy. I do not live in Lynn Haven, but my father used to, all the way up till the time he departed. And I love Lynn Haven, and so that's why I'm here today. First, I want to thank you all, especially Commissioner Tender, because she was the one that said there were issues. She's been talking about that for months. I'm glad some of the couples and people are here. I've had a chance to talk with them back in, I would say, early spring. This has been a problem. I think you don't have an engineer, a contractor, a staff problem. You have a customer service problem. And actually, you should have a project manager for the contractor that you hired. And they're not doing their job. And that needs to be addressed. You have a project manager here with the city, which is Bobby Baker. And I know it's a lot. You feel like things are coming down on you. But I believe in smaller government. That's the Republican way. You utilize the dollars you have that come from all of these people. There is no such thing as a grant tree in somebody's backyard. It's all taxpayer dollars. And so whether you're talking about a federal grant, state grant, whatever, we all pay into it. So return on investment is where I go. And right now, you're not getting a good return on your investment. So you've got an engineer of record, which is Dewberry. And if someone is saying, hey, this is too high, and having these conversations, it's up to them. It's up to the project managers you already have and you already pay. Bringing someone else into the city and paying them $50,000 to $100,000, that's not necessarily a need. The need is to get the project managers that are accountable, which is your public works, your engineer of record, and that project manager, and your contractor, and that project manager. Now, I've already brought up who I believe I understand that project manager is for the contractor. I don't know that that guy should be your project manager. I don't think he knows what he's doing. So I think it's time for you all to make sure that your city manager and your project managers are all on the same page and answering the customer service problems that all of these people are talking about. That's the sensible way of doing things. I do want to say, I haven't seen Mike. He's just as funny as he used to be in high school, and I hadn't seen him in about 50-something years, so that's kind of worth the drive itself. So, thank you. I appreciate y'all.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Scray?
Two quick follow-up points. Johnny, thank you for pointing that out about the charter. I was looking when they asked that too, and being on the charter review committee, it's something that I want to look into. I'd already had planned to put on the topic of discussion eventually a citizens' bill of rights, basically, or a citizens' rights, which would cover the things that as citizens are guaranteed by our government because it's our government. And so that's a topic that's forthcoming in the future. You're right, it does say it's the department head, and it says shall, so the position would need to exist even if you contracted it out. You'd still have to have a city police chief, fire chief, unless you change the charter. The charter also contemplates that the department exists because in section 18, it talks about the mayor taking over the city police department and the city fire department during times of emergency. So I would argue that the existence of a city police department and fire department are required by the charter by law, unless you ask for the charter to be changed. And then also in regard to project managers, every contract that I have at work has a project manager for our company. So think of my company that I work for as the city, right? The city should have a project manager, and then the contractor doing the work, they usually have a project manager on their side, and those two are usually the ones engaging on things, right? So whether you hire a city staff member or build it into the budgets, like Zach was saying, to have somebody, and it's a contracted position, right? Maybe we find a firm that can have an on-demand project manager. Hey, we got a grant. It's going to cover you for 15 hours a week. Can you come do that 15 hours a week for the city on this project? Oh, we got another project, so now from 15 hours a week for the city, now you're to 30 hours a week, you know? So it doesn't necessarily have to be a W-2 city employee. It could still be a contracted position, kind of like we use the labor attorney, right? Where they're on demand. I'm sure there's firms out there that would love to have that opportunity with us that aren't currently involved in the city, because I wouldn't want you to use anybody we already use. Too much conflict of interest, or you'll see this acronym, Judy, COI, conflict of interest. So yeah, just kind of those 2 points to keep in mind, that if we do go down that project manager route, you can't rely on the contractor that you ordered the contractor to manage the contract in a way that's favorable to the city, because their job is to get that job done as efficiently as possible and maximize the profit for the company they work for. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Ma'am?
I know that we're overtime already and everybody's tired, but had somebody suggest this today, and the more I sit here and think about it, the more sense it makes. And this has nothing to do with this other than saving the city money, and that is, instead of having our attorney, new or old, I don't care who we're talking about, come and sit at our commission meetings every night for $300 an hour, we should just simply have a court reporter at 135 sitting here just taking notes. And then when we need the city attorney, we pay the $300 an hour. Instead, I mean, really, just have some, that's how they used to do it years ago. Court reporter just sat here and did everything, and much less than $300 an hour. Something to look at. And I just appreciate everybody who came out. That's my big thing. I really do appreciate it. And I think positive things are going to happen.
So as we do wrap up, I can see the fun meter on everyone is about pegged. This has been a long but productive 2.5 hours. Ms. Haley, I want to thank you for bird dogging this and kind of putting this together with Commissioner Tender. Thank you sincerely. If there's anybody else that wants to speak that has not, please, the floor is yours. I do not want anybody to walk away feeling like they didn't get a chance to be heard. If you do, please come up. We will wait and listen. If not, we'll wrap up, and we'll just do a couple of closing thoughts here. Ms. Haley, I'd actually like for you, if you don't mind, to have a couple of closing thoughts from the audience side as one of our 2 new volunteer. I know. Welcome to the team, right? That's what you get for volunteering. Yeah, you're my new volunteer. So I am serious about using you and Ms. Nelson as the belly buttons on 10th Street.
Yes, sir.
To help relay information to us for the last 3 or 4 months of this project.
Yes, sir.
When there are issues, I will come to y'all. I'll ask y'all to come to us. The city manager, Bobby, Public Works folks. The only way we can get through this is together, right? We are
Yes,
literally
sir.
all in the proverbial rowboat together here.
Yes, sir.
So, in your closing thoughts, what can we do to help you at this point? And then we'll wrap up on our side.
I've appreciated all the suggestions about the communication. I would love to see that executed and how we can do that in better ways. So I love that we've got that talking. I really appreciate that. As you said, we're getting to the end of this project. I hope we can round it out the way we need to. I appreciate y'all being on board and hearing us voice our opinions, really taking our opinions seriously and taking the time to do this workshop even. So we really appreciate that.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Commissioners, does anybody want to say anything as we wrap up? Y'all good? Sam?
I'll just say thanks for providing all the data, like with the pictures and the notes and all that. That's really helpful. It's one thing for you to bring something to our attention, which is always great, but to have actual data and pictures and stuff that we can see firsthand, it does help a lot. So I really do appreciate that. So thanks for everyone that came in and brought stuff to our attention. I think this was a very productive meeting, so thank you very much.
Thank y'all. And Ms. Nelson, by the way, thank you too for volunteering to run point here. Thank you. Jamie, you got anything?
I'm good. Just thank you for everyone coming and sharing your feedback. Appreciate it.
All right, city manager, any closing thoughts? No? Well, otherwise, thank y'all sincerely. Miss Day, I'm going to come back and see you in just a minute, so don't run off, ma'am. I want to meet you. Thank y'all, everyone, for coming. I hope you have a good rest of your weekend. And if I don't see you before, I hope y'all have a great 4th of July with your families, okay? Thanks, everybody.